My name is Lisa Kaichen, and I've been a presenter every year since the conference started. Today, I'm going to give a different kind of presentation, which will be about the courage to let go and reinvent your life. I think that right now during COVID, many of us have realized that things as we knew it are no longer existing, and we need to reinvent our lives. I was thinking that there's a number of people that I've been talking to or dealing with. One is my daughter, who fell and got a concussion and hurt her back and her hips, and is never going to be able to be a restaurant manager again. So she's going to need to reinvent her life. My sister-in-law has been living in a hotel room since her house in Houston flooded, and then COVID came along, and she's going to need to reinvent her life. I also have been coaching a young girl who just got a degree in social work and decided she doesn't want to be a social worker. So I'm helping her reinvent her life. So at any rate, today I'm going to share some of the quotes and sort of interesting things to think about in terms of letting go of habits or routines that aren't working for you. And we will also have some exercises to help you plan for letting go yourself and starting a new future. So, all right, let's go with this PowerPoint. Oops, where do we go with the PowerPoint? Let's see. There we go.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Are you stuck in a rut? Look at the tire, stuck in a rut. They have a solution that they're trying here, but we don't know if it'll work or not. Let's see. Are you tied up with comfy handcuffs? I just left the GPOA Foundation that I had worked for over 22 years. And one of my friends pointed out to me that it really was like having velvet handcuffs. It was a job that I loved. I had a lot of prestige in the community. It paid very well. But a number of years ago, I really stopped being challenged by the work. But I didn't want to leave for years and years because it was something that I knew and something I was good at. But as I got older, I decided it's time to rethink this and move on to something new. Here's another analogy that we often think about that we're doing, that we're running on a hamster wheel that's going nowhere, doing the same old thing every day, every week, and particularly during COVID. I've certainly found people will call and say, what's new? And I have nothing to tell them because nothing is new. So face it, something needs to change. And I'm going to move myself up a little bit here so I'm not on my writing. Change, not too easy to do. Make a list of 5 things that are holding you back. One of the things that holds me back is financial debt, that I feel like I've, got to do work that maybe is not exactly what I want to do because I have some debt hanging over my head. Change is scary, change is risky, change is also necessary if you want to grow. And as I get older, and I'm going to be 70 next month, I realize that there are a lot of things on my bucket list. There are a lot of things I haven't done. There are a lot of God-given talents that I haven't used, and I want to grow. And I'm not too old. My husband says, people won't hire me, I'm 73. And I tell him, we just hired Joe Biden, 80 million people or whatever it was, hired Joe Biden. So age is not holding you back. It's truly not. So some steps to get out of a rut are to acknowledge that you're stuck. That's one of the hardest things, is to admit that you are stuck. Test the waters of change by making small changes in your daily life. We'll talk about that in a minute. embrace the notion that there's not one way to do something. There are many ways to skin a cat. I don't know where that phrase came from, but there are many ways that we can do something. So really, you can try a change and you can evaluate it. If it didn't work, try something else, until you reach the result that you're looking for. Start small. That's one of the easiest ways to change our lives. Think of some routines that you have that bore you, and I'm going to share some of my own. But grab a pencil and pen and jot down some of the routines that you're doing right now that aren't taking you anywhere. They're kind of hamster wheels. Watching TV at night. I have a tendency to watch the news, and then after the news, just watch whatever happens to come on. However, I just got a new apartment, and now I'm trying to have a catch-up call with a friend every night. And I'm not sure I have 365 friends, but I bet you that I have enough that I can call a different friend for a whole month and then call them again the next month. So, and that's a lot more gratifying than watching a sitcom. I was walking the dog on the same route every day, and now I am taking the dog to a park or a different area every day. And I discovered a little waterfall. I discovered a retreat center. I discovered a group of musicians playing in a park. Plus I get to see a lot of cute babies. I saw a man picking up pecans and asked him what he was doing, and he actually owned a Japanese restaurant, and he told me the recipe he was going to use with the pecans. It really has enriched my life just doing something that small. I'm also trying to check, or I was checking social media morning, noon, and night, and it's really hard because I tend to check the weather first thing and then just go, oh, I'm going to see if anybody posted on Facebook. And then when I get that report of how many hours I spent on social media, it's shocking. So I am making a New Year's resolution to try to check social media only once a day. And then another thing that is problematic for me is that I have a to-file file that turns into a to-do box and then turns into a bin. And so I am really going to make an effort to spend a few moments every single day filing whatever came in that day. So if I'm able to try some of these new things, I'll be starting new routines. And they say that often after you do something about 7 times, it becomes a new routine. So I'm going to try to put some new changed ones into place. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Amelia Earhart gave that quote. And I like to consider what this little fuzzy hamster is doing. Is he going to scurry along the rope, or is he going to drop and go explore new places? But the important thing was that he got off the hamster wheel. I liked this quote too. It's by Winston Churchill. Success is not final and failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. Something that I relate this to is I had a job once that was very successful for a while. I started really disliking it though, and got kind of counseled out of the job by my boss, which I saw as a failure because I saw it as a termination. But I pulled on my bootstraps. I decided to start a consulting firm. The fact that I had had that job gave me some creds that I didn't have before, and I was able to hold my head high and continue. And I think that that really taught me some lessons that really, you know, failure is not fatal. Eleanor Roosevelt gave this quote: "Do one thing every day that scares you." Now, diving would scare me to death because I don't swim, but maybe someday in the next 10 or 20 years, I may be the oldest person taking swim lessons. But if I, accomplish that fear, I would really go somewhere. But it's sometimes the little things that scare me. And I decided to make a list on New Year's Eve of some of the things that scare me that are small that I definitely could deal with. One thing that scares me is being seen in public without lipstick. Now, isn't that strange? I let myself go gray, but I still wear the lipstick because if I don't, I'm so pale, I feel like I'm gonna, go right into the white mantelpiece behind me. Another thing is telling a handsome man my age. I absolutely hate having to give my driver's license to a pharmacist or whatever because I like people thinking that I'm younger than I am, particularly if they're a young, handsome man. Learning a technical skill on my computer is something that scares me a lot. And I really need to thank my friend, Pastor Joseph, who is helping me learn how to do this presentation. So, posting my real opinion on social media, that's something that scares me. Sometimes I kind of feel like I need to go along with the crowd, and that surprises me because I think people would value my opinion, and I think I'm kind of an influencer, but nonetheless, there are some kind of controversial things that I don't have nerve to post. And now I'm kind of saying, if not now, when? I'm almost 70. It's time to get honest and get real. Cooking a new recipe for guests. That's a silly thing to, be scared of, but I am. I only have a few tried but true recipes that I can do very well. And so if you come to my house, you'll probably get the same meal in an alternating, 1 month salmon, the next month, something else. Confronting someone or speaking up if they say something that's offensive. I probably let too many people get away with telling a joke that I don't think was funny, that I thought was offensive, but I didn't say anything. So that's something that scares me and something I'm going to really try to get better at. And someday when we're together again, or if you want to email me, you can tell me what the things are that scare you. Sometimes it's time to just let go of things. And I looked at the lyrics of the song Let It Go in the movie Frozen. And I thought it was interesting. It says, "It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. Up here in the cold, thin air, I can finally breathe. I know I left a life behind, but I'm too relieved to grieve. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go." My friend, Pastor Tara Alexander, recently posted this. She posts words to the wise sometimes. And she said, "Sometimes you have to move so that prophecy can be fulfilled. Never underestimate a move. God has a plan, and God gave you the potential to consider a move, evaluate a move, and make a move, the very things that we're talking about today. You need to trust the woman in the mirror. She's the one that knows you the best. She's the only person capable of changing your life for the better." Think about that. Sometimes we're waiting for something external to happen to us, for somebody to do something for us, even for God to do something for us. But God gave us the capability to do something for ourselves. to have the insights to make those necessary changes. So I'd like you to grab a piece of paper and divide it into 4 columns, actually 5 columns, and answer these questions, because this will give you some guidance in moving forward. What are your current gifts and talents that you like to share? You know, for example, I love writing. I love designing brochures. I love public speaking. Those are all gifts that I have that I like to share. I also like interior decorating. I like, well, not cooking. That wouldn't be one of the things I want to share. But, you know, drama is something I enjoy, and art. What are things you would still like to learn to do? Well, I definitely need to learn to be more technically adept. As I mentioned, I probably would like to learn to swim, even though it scares me a lot. Now, what are settings that you like? I like working from home, and I was very glad that COVID came along, because I do consulting now with nonprofits and have some specific projects, and I'm able to do them from home and to participate in, you know, telephone meetings or Zoom meetings. So I like that. Now, what are aversions? You need to try to find work to do, or, you know, whether it's work or whether it's just life. You know, what are your please don't ask me to? Like, don't ask me to work in a cubicle. Don't ask me to sign a timesheet. You know, some of my best ideas come late at night. You know, I don't want to punch a time clock. Please don't ask me to be the treasurer for an organization. Last time I was a treasurer, I had a Kelly girl who absconded with money and wrote bad checks. So those are some things I don't want. In terms of what values must you live by? I know some people who do work that I couldn't do. You know, I couldn't sell a product that I think might be harmful to people. I couldn't work at a place that discriminated against Jews or against women or, you know, African Americans. I absolutely couldn't. And so I need to live by my values. And a way of knowing that is to jot down what your values are and look at how your current life matches up with your answers. Are there changes that you could make that involve maximizing using your gifts, and ideally in a setting that suits you? Because not all settings suit me. When I was terminated from that one job, my boss told me, I should have told you you would be chained to a desk. And I was like, yes, you should have. Because I quit a job I'd had for 9 years that I had loved and went to this job, and I was getting stomach aches by the time I got to the parking garage. So I wish I had thought of these different things before I got lured by the money and prestige of a job. So at any rate, this is an excellent exercise to think some of these things through. I liked this quote a lot too by Carl Jung. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Again, the woman in the mirror. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Think about that for a minute. It's also fun to picture your life as a novel. All of the past chapters, from childhood through today, are building up to the next chapter. Try to make a plot outline for your next chapter and what's going to happen in the next 5 years, because it's not going to happen if you don't think about it and if you don't plan for it. It'll be more the hamster wheel, and the same old, same old. Will it be just like the past chapter? Remember the movie Groundhog Day? Repeating again and again and again. But instead, what new roles will be established for the heroine of your story? That's you. What new characters will enter? I hope in the next 5 years I'll have some more grandchildren. What new places will be visited? I've traveled the world in the past, but there are a few continents I've not yet been to. I haven't been to South America, and I haven't been to the Arab world, and I would like to do both of those things. I'd like to go back and spend some time with friends that I've made in other countries. I have foreign exchange students that lived with me for a year in Europe and also in Canada. And I have a number of friends in Uganda and in Japan. And I'd love to spend a month or two and really be able to get into the culture in those countries. What challenges will be faced? I hope I won't have health challenges, but it's something I need to think about. And maybe I can prevent that by some of my behaviors now. What obstacles will be overcome? Who knew that there was going to be COVID? Who knew that, some of the challenges of the last presidential administration were going to happen? What insights will be gained? I would love to write down many of the insights that I've had over the years and share those. One of my goals and one of the things I will put in my outline, I guess some of the new roles for me would be mentor, that I really would like to mentor young people. So look at these questions and think about what you might do. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. We all have lessons learned that we can share with others, and it's brave. It's very brave to be vulnerable. Brené Brown is an excellent writer on leadership, and I encourage you to check her out. Now, this is a quote from one of my favorite poets, someone named Mary Oliver. She says, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Again, that takes me back to thinking about God. He put me here for a purpose. And what's going to be the mark that I'm going to leave? What's going to be my legacy? I don't want it to just happen by happenstance. I want it to be planful. And I love the word wild. What am I going to do that's kind of unexpected? Where can I step outside of the box and step outside of the maybe false boundaries I've put around my life? Because it is a precious life. So go for it. Why not? What do you have to lose? Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Thank you, and I wish you a very happy new year. And please stay safe, stay free from COVID, stay healthy, stay happy, and use this year coming up to grow. Thank you.